So we are in the BYD Atto 2 DMI, which means dual mode intelligence. It's a plug-in hybrid vehicle and it happens to be the cheapest PHEV that we get in the country right now. So we're about to hit the road. And hey, welcome to the channel. It's when I appreciate that you're here with me today. We're doing a launch drive of this vehicle. You know what? Before we actually hit the road, let me just show you what it looks like and then we're gonna go. Okay, so we have a route plan here on paper and also on the maps that you can connect your Android Auto wirelessly, as you're seeing right now on the screen. But yeah, this route plan, I don't know, we'll just keep looking at it just in case. But hey, listen, we have a vehicle here that has a complicated drivetrain in this case, because what you're seeing right here is a 1.5 liter natural aspirated engine that is paired to an electric motor. They're using an ECVT to actually drive this vehicle overall. Together they're pushing out 122 kilowatts, 300 newton meters of torque. You know, these numbers used to be so big, but when you think about electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids and so on, these numbers suddenly they look low. But hey man, we used to live in cars that are doing 110, 250, and we were very happy with them throughout because they were performing quite a lot. But hey, listen, we're on the road right now. Our first drive, our first experience in terms of how this actually performs, how it feels on the road and so on. Immediately you can feel that you are in a vehicle that is synonymous with a lot other Chinese cars that you've driven in this segment, in this case, because this vehicle measures around 4.3 meters, just above 4.3, with a wheelbase of around 2.7 as well. So when I'm looking at it overall, the sizes and everything else, I'm looking at something like a Tiggo 4 Pro, Tiggo Cross, you know, one of the best selling from the Cherry Group. So that's what we are looking at. And the closest competition in this case, it's literally that Tiggo 4. And you can get the HEV that side, which is not a plug-in hybrid. And in this one, you get a plug-in hybrid. That's where things are starting to be interesting. And you probably would have seen by now that it's the cheapest plug-in hybrid vehicle that you can get, because it comes with two variants. This one, it's either you get the comfort or the dynamic. Comfort in this case comes with at around 450,000 rands. And this one, that is the dynamic top spec in this case, comes in at around 489,000 rands, 490 really in this case. So that's basically what you'll be getting with these vehicles overall. In terms of, hey man, this route, no man, this thing, you know, sometimes when you don't trust that you're going to go the way that they had said that you need to go and so on, you end up just looking at this thing over and over. But hey, overall, besides all the distractions and so on, listen, I think there's a case here. There's a case, especially because this plug-in hybrid is a different story altogether. It doesn't come with a big battery, by the way. I think it's around 7.85 kilowatt hour battery. So we've been in plug-in hybrids on this vehicle. We spoke about Volvo last time, which is around 18 kilowatt hours, the XC60, and which is more or less the same with the C7 that we drove, the Omoda. And the one that had a big battery in this case was the Haval H6 GT plug-in hybrid, which could do around 150 kilometers on one charge, in this case if you're driving it on EV. And the Omoda and the Volvo, they can do just around, I think the Volvo is around 80 kilometers and then the Omoda is around 100, in this case 105 or something like that. This one though, it's not that high because the small battery can do around 40 kilometers, which means if you put it on EV like I'm doing right now, you can drive this thing. Probably if you're doing 20 kilometers to work every day, you can use it on EV mode. And the nice thing about this one is that it does actually prioritize EV mode in this case. That dual motor intelligence, there's a story to it. It's not your typical, I can't believe I'm about to say a traditional PHEV setup, because this one acts a little bit differently. The engine in this case is not always in use. It's not always the alternative that you get when you're driving, especially low speed like this. It prioritizes EV, and the engine also acts as a generator to actually charge the battery as well. That's quite interesting because it feels like that range extenders, but it's not necessarily that, because when you get to the highway, it's going to then tap into the engine, because what they've figured out when they're researching is that when you're driving on the highway, actually the internal combustion engine is more efficient, and as a result you're not going to chow a lot more fuel. And that's why you have a 50-liter tank in here that can do over 900 kilometers if you're talking combination of the battery and the fuel in this case. That is interesting. See how quiet it picks up. And this is the level of refinement that electric vehicles bring. And for those that are craving that engine noise a little bit, you also get it when it comes to plug-in hybrids. Look, I'm an advocate for plug-in hybrids because I really believe they are resolving a lot of problems that we've been complaining about, especially when it comes to drive refinement, when it comes to fuel consumption. There was a period where HEVs were taking over the non-plug-in ones, and I don't think they resolve these problems entirely. Yeah, I don't think they resolve these problems entirely, because when I'm thinking about it right now, this kind of cars are changing everything about how we used to experience Chinese vehicles and so on. This is no different, honestly. And when I'm thinking about it overall, I remember being in the Volvo EX30, which is more or less, if I'm thinking compact SUVs and so on, it's more or less the same thing if I'm thinking about it. But yeah, price point, everything else, target market, they differ. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my sunroof here, which, guys, this vehicle comes with a static sunroof. We've seen that in the EX30, this one that doesn't open in the front panel. We've seen that BMW X3 as well has it. And there's quite a number of cars, of course, that do get this. Some call it moonroof and so on. It depends. At least there's a shade in this one, because there are other cars where you don't get a shade. If I remember very well, EX30 doesn't have a shade. So yeah, at least you get one here. But yeah, it's not opening at all. In fact, when I'm talking about this, I'm thinking material wise, everything else. Look, in front here, they've prioritized the front passenger and the driver in this case. Soft touch materials are there all across in most touch points, especially high above here, on the doors, on the side, and so on. It's just a car that I can say, I can't really say I haven't seen this before in terms of the design. There's a BYD badge here, but if I close it, I can tell you that it looks almost similar to a lot more other Chinese cars in terms of design language in the interior when you're looking at it overall. So it's okay. In this day and age, when you're seeing big screens, when you're seeing instrument clusters, cameras that are doing their job as they should and so on, you're no longer that shocked, regardless of the price point being around 450 and so on. This one, I guess the competitive advantage in this case is that it's a plug-in hybrid, and where are you going to get plug-in hybrid for this much in this case? Yeah, but we are on the highway now, and we're about to experience how this whole powertrain is actually propelling this car. I don't remember seeing how much it weighs and so on, and right now let's try and pull it and see. Come on. Let's go. Okay, it's not slow. It is not slow, people. It's not slow. And one thing probably that I'm seeing right now is, yep, it is a CVT. Listen. It's only when you're used to it a little bit that you don't get shocked by the lack of gear change, you know, those little bit of engine cuts between the gears and so on. But yeah, I think overall I understand. I mean, it's an EV underneath, or it's EV prioritized, and then you get the ICE afterwards in this case. So it does actually drive quite funny. Not funny in a bad way, but when you're looking for that speed or you're punching it, it's like it's one of those cars that you can't over rev to actually get to your speed. Yes, the engine will be making noise, and somehow it doesn't sound like it's actually entirely linked to the speed that you're doing. So it's like the engine is just revving to give you power, but the speed keeps counting the way that it needs to count, and it's moving like in a linear way up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 doesn't move like 5, 10, 15 that quick, but it's moving. I think BYD, if there's one thing about it, it does drive like a car in this case, because this is my first experience in a BYD. It drives like a car, and they've done a great job with doing that. I mean, in this case, it's a car with CVT. But yeah. Yeah. You know, even the tires that are here, I don't remember checking them. I'll put them on the screen. They're not that noisy. Yes, I do get some feedback coming in, like in terms of the road noise, depending on the kind of patch that we're going on the highway right now. But it's actually all right, especially if I paid $450K. I know what to expect. I mean, in this day and age, we're starting to look at cars around this price as somehow just above budget, but not necessarily that expensive, because even some of the cars that we're not expecting to be 300K are 300K these days. So yeah. Oh, but you will actually manage even if you keep right all the way. It's just that, yeah, they can push you off the road. But once you catch the speed that you're looking for, I think you will be able to catch up to those that are actually driving quite high speed as well. Interesting, BYD. Interesting. But I know you guys, when it comes to buying these kind of cars, you don't just come for performance and so on. There's a lot that you consider, because normally they are packed with features. They are equipped with a lot of spec. And it's not that different with this one as well. When it comes to the lower variant in this case, probably some of the notable stuff is that safety-wise, you do get 6 airbags. Commendable as well, because sometimes with the compact SUVs, they'll shock you. They can give you 2 airbags and you won't believe it. And that's why AA has been doing a lot of work when it comes to testing vehicles that we have in the country right now when it comes to safety and everything else. So 6 airbags, I like that. I hope it's good in terms of everything else, because I don't know the NCAP rating on this one. You'll also get enough spaces overall, because the cup holders, in terms of where they put them, you know, the door bins and everything else, they have sufficient spaces, and it's tight. It feels like things are well screwed together in here. I like that about it. In the boot, you'll get around 425 liters of boot space in this case. Jumping inside, I think, like I said, the wheelbase around 2.7, just below 2.7, I think 2,630 or something like that. So leg room, it's not that bad, but if you are taller than 1.8, 1.9, I don't know how many people are that tall though. Maybe that's an issue, but the headroom and everything else is not going to be an issue. Even if you get this one with the sunroof, it's not going to be a problem for you in this case, because size and everything else in this case, you would have known what you're getting into when you're getting less than 4.5 meter vehicle in this case. You're not expecting like a big vehicle, but the budget in this case actually matches what I'm seeing right now. And the spec level and everything else, man, I think the lower spec gets a 10.5 or 10.1 inch rather screen. Unlike this one, I think it's around 13 point something. Guys, screen size and everything else, it's a bigger screen, this one. That's what I can say to you in this case. And what you'll see as well is that in here you get these synthetic leather seats as well. You're not getting that in the lower spec. I'm sorry, that's not what you're getting. But hey, you do get a full array of ADAS system in here. Again, in the lower spec, you just get like standard cruise control, and you don't get things like a 360-degree camera. You don't get adaptive cruise control, lane keeping aids, all the stuff that you get with the Chinese vehicles, the higher you go in this case. That's the thing that you can expect when you're jumping into this one. I advocate for this one because you know what? Sometimes you find that you have like one kid, two kids, and the seats, when they're cloth, it can be a problem. Otherwise, you know how we do things here, guys. In here, you get a 6-speaker sound system. I haven't experienced it. We're going to experience it together just now. We'll see how it actually plays. Because, 6-speaker standard generally. And I hope that it's supportive on the way. All right. Yep, and that's the sound system, guys. At least even with the aircon blowing up and exterior noises coming in and so on, it does manage to quiet those down a little bit. So it's nothing to write home about, but for a standard sound system, you can listen to music without actually feeling like, I want to turn this thing off right now. So it's okay in that sense. Overall though, with this vehicle, guys, look, in terms of how it looks, how everything else in terms of aesthetics and beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, I showed it to you. You'll tell me how it looks. I'm not here for that. Otherwise, after sales, guys, you pick it up, you get 5-year or 150,000 kilometer warranty, and on the battery itself, 8-year or 200,000 kilometer, whatever comes first. And then in this case, you get a service plan that is 4 years or 60,000 kilometers. I didn't see the intervals, but I believe in this case it's 15,000 kilometers. So that's our experience with the vehicle so far, guys. And I guess we'll see it the other time when we have it on extended test. But hey, so far, I think it's going to be a little bit of a disruptor because 450K, and this fuel consumption, yeah, people are gonna love that. With that said, guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. I am out.